Welcome back to Green is Good, and we're so honored to have back with us again Linda Demmler. She's the Vice President of IBM Global Financing and Global Asset Recovery Services of North America of the great and iconic IBM brand. Welcome to Green is Good again, Linda.
Great. Thank you, John. I am so excited to be back on your show.
Oh, well, I'm so happy to have you back on. And for our listeners that didn't have the opportunity to hear the great work that you're doing at IBM the last time you were on the show, can you please, before we get into talking about what you're doing, talk a little bit about Linda Demmler. Give a little bit of your story and your journey leading up to IBM and the important position that you have now today.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Thanks, John. So in my current position, I'm responsible for global asset recovery services at IBM, and this has really been a journey for me. I started with IBM in the Northeast region, and I have worked in our leasing operations, our leasing company, for the majority of my career in a variety of different roles, whether it's been strategic alliances or channel development or business development. But I keep coming back to this asset recovery business because it's just an interesting and fascinating business to me in terms of its ability to have real impact on the world around us. I live now in Annapolis, Maryland, and married. I have a 10-year-old daughter, Reese, and so as we look at the world around us and we want to be strong professionally and furthering the agenda of our corporations, we also want to be good stewards of the environment that we're operating in, the communities that we're operating within. So it's been nice that this IBM journey has afforded me to work on something as valuable as asset recovery and sustainability that really improves the way companies operate as well as the way IBM impacts the environment and communities in which we operate.
And before we go into the nitty-gritty of our discussion, for our listeners out there that want to follow along online, IBM has one of the greatest websites out there. And to follow along on what we're going to be talking about with Linda today, you could go to ibm.com/financing. There's so much great information here on sustainability and all the great work IBM's doing with regards to asset recovery services and sustainability. So, your role has, of recent times, changed a little bit. Can you share the difference in your roles now in charge of North America versus worldwide?
Yeah, absolutely. So it certainly has been an exciting and dynamic year. It's interesting. There's so much that's been new. Previously, I was running worldwide sales within Global Asset Recovery Services. Yeah. I spent my life on a plane visiting all the countries and geographies around the world, meeting with clients, meeting with business partners, meeting with other IBMers on how we can further the sustainability agenda and really leverage best practices as a singular unit around the globe. About a year ago, I took this position responsible for North America. And it's been very interesting in that there is so much new in working directly with companies and getting down to the next level of working with them and driving the company's own agendas, whether it is an IT transformation or a business transformation or their own sustainability initiatives. But honestly, the world's become so accessible that one of the things that I've found is that there are as many similarities as there are differences. And I find most often working with the North American companies that no matter what we're doing, there tend to be global implications to what their current needs or their current initiatives are more than ever before. So, for instance, many U.S. companies have non-U.S. operations, and even the smallest of partnerships could have a global footprint impact. And I'm always approaching the new engagements anticipating that there will be a global impact, and that's really helpful for me as an IBM organization, given that we have this global footprint and this critical mass of IT assets from our leasing portfolio that gives us great insight and experiences that resonate in a variety of different situations. We're used to working with businesses, small and large, the smallest businesses to Fortune 100. But doing that across 40 different countries really gives us a breadth of perspective that when working back again and with the North America companies gives us a lot of flexibility and adaptability to the way the world is changing for everyone and how we need to recreate and reinvent our business models going forward.
That's so interesting. So, of course, hindsight in life, Linda, is always 20/20. But now that you look back a little bit of recent years and your position change, are you happy with the sequence that your career followed? Because are you better in your current role in charge of North America because of your previous global, worldwide experiences?
I absolutely think so. I think having that diversity of experience and meeting with employees and clients and partners from around the world and seeing all the variety of business models that are out there really gave me the ability to look at problems, look at solutions, look at new ideas from many different perspectives as opposed to having just to one view of the world. So it has been very, very enriching to me professionally, and I would say personally as well. I mean, I still mentor a number of women from different countries around the world, and bringing those experiences to me as a person makes me a more enriched person, and you can't help but be changed by those relationships.
Yeah, that's great. You know, in our first interview, we talked about the three principal market advantages that you have at IBM, that you offer in the Global Asset Recovery Services division. And those were sustainability, affordability, and trusted advisor. And I've thought about that a lot more, and that resonated with my listeners. I got a lot of feedback on that. Can you go into, take a deeper dive into those three principles that set you apart from everyone else? Talk a little bit about the genesis of those three and how they continue to drive your differentiating sales proposition forward at IBM.
You know, John, this was a real turning point for GARS when we focused on, we had been creating value through asset recovery solutions for over 30 years, and we had so many best practices. They had been replicated around the world. We have 8 patents for our unique and innovative remanufacturing and demanufacturing operations. I'm not going to say we became complacent, but we certainly thought, we know what's going on. Over the last 10 years alone, we processed nearly £1 billion through these operations. So a few years ago, we really challenged ourselves to say, we can do more, we can do faster, but how do we do better? What is it that really makes us different as an organization, as individuals? Why do we show up at work in the morning? Why do we do what we do? And what is it? Why do clients want to do business with us? What do we do that clients value? And so we created these small teams around the world to take pulse of local clients and marketplaces. And honestly, we walked in with kind of a bias that we assumed we'd have to create these regionally based themes that resonated with clients locally, and it was really fascinating. It's not what we found at all. Of course, there's local customs, there's legal restrictions, there's lots of business practices that are unique as you go to each city around the globe. But at the core, what we found was that clients value us because of the robust investments and IBM's unwavering commitment we've made to environmental leadership, sustainability. And they work with us because we don't focus on selling just what's in our warehouses, but they want to work with us because we listen to their challenges and we work with them to develop real solutions to their problems, whatever those solutions might be. Sometimes there's many client conversations I'm involved in. I don't get a sale out of them, but I get a customer, and I get a customer that we will partner over many years in the future because I show up as a trusted advisor, not as a solution seller. And my team prides themselves on being innovative experts to really drive the pain points out of the customer business model, not just sell what we have on our truck. And what we create that the clients value through that process is real affordability, not just low cost. I'm not just going to walk in with the lowest priced hardware or services, but really focusing on what is it that we can do to accelerate a customer's critical transformation end to end, acquiring solutions, getting them implemented, using them, getting rid of them. Sometimes disposing is the hardest thing. And all of this comes down to affordably reducing the time, cost, and risk of customers' transformations. And affordability, for me, people jump quickly to low cost, but for me, it's all about realizing and truly recognizing for clients that time is money, and the higher the risk, the more exposure clients have to costs increasing when things go wrong. And so what was eye-opening was that these three themes of sustainability leadership and showing up as a trusted advisor, not just there to sell something,
right,
and really looking at the end-to-end transformation and how can we improve the affordability of that transformation, whether it's reducing risk or reducing cost or reducing time. And it was eye-opening that this was the same in every region, every geography, every client. Clients want to work with trusted advisors that enable them to affordably accelerate their transformation and link their corporate agendas and their execution to sustainability stewardship.
And that's the recipe for success at IBM.
It's been really fun. I mean, I think it's really energized the team that while we liked what we did, we're all very passionate about it. You can tell we enjoy what we do. But for us to really crystallize the impact we could have on improving clients' businesses and moving the agenda forward on the smarter planet was really energizing.
For our listeners out there that just joined us, we've got Linda Demmler back on Green is Good today. She's the Vice President of IBM Global Financing and Global Asset Recovery Services of North America. And to learn more about what she's doing at IBM, it's ibm.com/financing. Linda, I don't want to gloss over, but I do want you to touch upon the wow numbers. You just touched on it a little while ago. Give the last X amount of years, you said $1 billion something, and give the annual number that you recycle in the GARS division at IBM.
Right. So I did mention over the last 10 years, we processed about 1 billion pounds of equipment through our remanufacturing and demanufacturing operations around the world. And I'm a visual person.
Yeah.
So for me, this is equivalent to 1,000 Airbus 300s.
Oh my gosh.
If you look at 2013 alone, we processed more than 800,000 units of IT equipment. And what we very much focus on, what our unique value that we try to bring to the sustainability environment is we pride ourselves on our high percent of reuse versus solely recycling.
Right.
So of those 800,000 units of IT that we processed in 2013, more than 91% of it was reused and resold, with the remainder being dismantled, parts going into recovery of precious metals. And if you take just the laptops we processed last year, it would be nearly the height of Mount Everest.
But but let's be honest. All of this is just appropriate and great sustainability practices. 91% being reused and resold, and the other part going to end-of-life practices being commoditized. Everything's staying out of a landfill then, and everything is being repurposed appropriately. So that's all great recycling and sustainability practices. So kudos to IBM. Kept that all out of the environment.
Well, and it's also good business for customers because it frees up the capital for customers to spend on their core business requirements, whether they're focused on investing on innovation or growth or transformation. So we do the tens of thousands of assets that we receive back each week. We do remanufacture these, and we remanufacture them according to original manufacturing standards. And the way we drive such high reuse standards is we custom configure them for reuse and resale. And so by focusing heavily on this reuse versus versus just pure recycling objective.
Right.
We are able to help customers enable and drive forward their transformations because they're either extending the life of the assets within their enterprise or they're acquiring repurposed assets that allow them to extend the life of what they have in their footprint already while they're making the big investments in the transformation initiatives that are really going to drive their businesses forward. Cloud, analytics, mobile, social business, all that initiative that is bringing strategic importance to their business and really displacing huge number of assets in the process.
Linda, what we'd love to do on this show, as you already know, is give solutions. So we have 4 minutes left. For our listeners out there that are COOs or CEOs of companies, or our listeners out there that are CTOs or other operations managers who make decisions with regards to recycling and new equipment and new technology, and what are they supposed to be thinking about? What do you want them thinking about in terms of making decisions when they need to refresh their equipment and things of that such? What are some of the pain points? What are some of the things that they should be top of mind?
I think the untapped potential for companies out there is as companies are driving huge investments in these new promising initiatives like cloud and big data and mobility are hugely disruptive and will propel their businesses forward, but it is displacing a large number of assets that can and should be reused and can return value to offset some of the cost and risk and time of those transformations they're investing in. So the key thing to think about is having a strategic asset management and disposition strategy in place that allows companies to extract the value out of the assets being displaced and working with a trusted advisor so that they don't incur incremental risks or incremental costs as they go through that displacement and dispose of those assets.
And that's really what you are then. That's where you're the plug and play for COOs and CEOs and other company leaders across the world. You become then that trusted advisor who then takes those assets and gets them repurposed in a safe and in both environmental and a data protection way, correct?
Correct. Absolutely.
Got it. What should they be aware of, though? Down to 2 minutes here. What should they not be doing? What are some of the absolute worst decisions someone in a decision-making role can make right now when getting rid of their electronic assets?
There's a few considerations. Being cognizant of your own company's environmental stewardship plan, making sure that companies you're partnering with are following the same policies and practices and methodologies that you have, that companies that you're partnering with are keeping up with the complex and ever-changing environmental regulations, and that there truly are environmental management systems in place. And I'd be remiss if, when you're working with companies, you're not focused on if you're focused with companies that are not focused on reusing versus solely recycling, because the reuse is where we really contribute to the sustainability of the environment and reduce the manufacture of incremental new assets when there's fully appropriate and fully capable assets ready to go.
And reuse is one of the greatest and most legitimate forms of recycling.
Yes.
Shameless plug. We're down to the last minute or so. Shameless plug. If you want our audience members to have one big takeaway about your thoughts about IBM's Global Financing Asset Recovery Services, GARS business unit, what would it be?
Well, I have to say I'm very proud of IBM's long-standing history of innovation and environmental leadership.
Yeah.
And through those initiatives, we truly are making the world smarter and a better place. And we'd be happy to work with companies small and large to help put in place an asset management and disposition strategy.
Well, you are making the world a better place. Thank you, Linda, for being a visionary sustainability superstar. You are truly living proof that green is good.